President Trump is floating the idea of taking over daily operations of the city of Washington, D.C. Obviously, there's no state involved since it is the District of Columbia. But what about this? Is this something that we want to see happen? Something's got to be done. Where's America going to land on this when people start thinking about the president getting that kind of power? Welcome back, my friends, to another episode of What They Don't Say, and this is a good one. There's a lot to unpack with this situation. I promised from the start that we talk about things that no one's talking about. We got to go through this. Consider the facts. All of our major cities are in various levels of decay. They're all run by Democrats. It's a nationwide problem. We've got to stick our toes in the water somewhere. We got to test the water. Any kind of solution is going to wind up in every court. Something has got to be done. We can't keep surrendering territory to the socialists that are trying to bring down America. Our enemies, foreign enemies, said a long time ago that they were going to infiltrate America and bring us down without a shot being fired. Check out Nikita Khrushchev. He said it. He wasn't the only one that thought it, and he's not the only one that wound up getting involved. Russia wasn't the only one getting involved. There's a globalist socialist movement, and they know that you cannot tear down, you can't take over America as it stands as a constitutional republic, a successful country. You have got to destroy the success. You've got to bring it down. It's just like remodeling a house. You got to tear it down before you can rebuild. I don't have a problem with considering the ideas and the possibilities for the process of a takeover of the failed areas and setting a timeline and a standardized pattern for improvement. We got to think about this. We got to have the discussion. Now, I've already heard people say, we've never done that before. We can't do that. Just because something never happened before, we can't do it. We're just a bunch of dumbass followers. Problem-solving abilities of America is done. We can only do what has happened in the past, and if solutions from past eras don't work in the new modern era with new problems, then I guess we're just screwed, huh? Don't listen to those people. One of the things that is built into our Constitution is the ability to adapt and grow. Our founders knew that there were going to be problems coming up that they had never anticipated. And boy, here we are. So, we've got this mess. The Democrats are deliberately destroying many of our cities. Look at LA with the fires. Look how Newsom handled it. Look how that idiot Karen Bass handled it. Look at Minnesota during those George Floyd riots. They burnt that city. They had 28 fires going at one time on that big night. Government told them to stand down. Baltimore, they had riots. Local government told them to stand down. There's a lot of conservatives that will say, oh, to hell with them. That's just liberal areas. I had people telling me that today. They even want to get out. We don't want it. I have no use for those surrender pansies. Those useless friggin' cowards. I don't care if they call themselves conservatives. They sure as hell aren't patriots. I got no use for a limp dick pansy that will surrender territory of this country after so many people have fought, died, and sacrificed to get all these lands and to keep them together, to protect them against foreign enemies. And these pansies want to sit on their asses on a couch and say, oh, it's just a bunch of stupid liberals. I got no use for these people. We should force them to go live there. There are good people in every one of these areas. What did they say? 45% of California is patriotic. I don't like the term conservative. It doesn't really apply anymore. Not in the sense that it used to. But they are patriotic. They're patriotic people in California. Good, hard-working, decent, patriotic people. You get outside the cities, that's what you've got all over the country. If you get outside the cities. They learned a long time ago how to beat conservatives, and they went to work doing it. You start out with the war on poverty. That was the vehicle that they used for this. And then they used the welfare system, and they converted everything. They got into the schools. They wiggled their way into these local governments, and they took over the cities. These people are not stupid. They're dangerous. They're insidious. We have been taken over for the last 4 or 5 decades by people tied to the international forces that want to see the end of America and the rebirth as a socialist, maybe even communist nation. People who don't want to stand against that, I got no use for them. Now, I don't know what Trump plans on. Nobody does. He hasn't said yet. He doesn't know. Like I said, any idea he comes up with, good or bad, is going to wind up in every available court. We all know that. But something has to be done. For the love of God, there's got to be one mess we don't pass on to our children. Oh, look what the baby boomers are already burying their kids in. Look at the kind of debt they're already burying their kids and grandkids in. We don't have to push the loss of cities and states back on that generation, too. Something has to stop on our watch. Something needs to stop now. We've got to consider it. What would you want to do? If we're going to do this, what do you think is a good idea? What would be the process? Would it be something by executive order or something through Congress? Congress is on vacation right now. You know, they're back home talking to all their lobbyists and donors, back home collecting money, making deals. So Congress wouldn't be back for a while. When they get back, they've already got a couple of things to do. They wouldn't even act on it until next year because they don't write bills in Congress. They get with the donors and lobbyists and they figure it out what they want. And then they come back to their committees and start forming the bills, and then they talk to the lobbyists again. That's how that all works. That's going to drag it out a year and a half, 2 years or more. We don't need that. If we're going to have a solution for something, we need to get to work on it. I say for now we got to leave Congress out of it. But what would it look like? I think we would have to start out by establishing criteria. Okay, if this is bad, if the crime rate's bad, if the economics are bad, if the unemployment rate is bad, if housing is out of control, we need to have a checklist of points that disqualify the current city government. What would that be? What all should be on that checklist? Who should administer the checklist? There's a lot to think about with this, but we can't keep doing nothing. Decades of saying, well, our hands are tied. Bullshit. We are Americans. We solve problems. America used to be able to solve any kind of problem. The people with the attitudes today that we can't do nothing because it's not in the Constitution, those kind of people would have never had a revolution in the first place. We would still have a friggin' king if we listened to those kind of people. They call themselves conservatives. Well, if they are, then it's a sad day for conservatism. If those kind of limp-wristed pansies fail patriotism and still call themselves conservatives, they're not my brothers. They're not my countrymen. I'm ashamed of them. They might as well just go out there and start sleeping with their boyfriends on the left. Something has got to be done. We can't kick every problem down to the next generation and expect them to have to handle it. Our cities are being destroyed by these people. We've got to start somewhere. If Trump can come up with a good idea and a way to attack it in Washington, D.C., let's hear him out. Got to start the discussion. We can make it a national discussion because when he starts to do that, it's going to explode in the news and everybody's going to be talking. There's some good ideas that can come from it, but you don't have a plan until you have something on paper and you start somewhere. We've never had the discussion. The discussion needs to start. We have to start somewhere, reversing the decay. We cannot lose all of our major cities. That's where our greatest ports are. That's where a lot of our greatest businesses are centered. That's where they're located. We've got millions of citizens in these towns. For God's sakes, we got to care about our fellow man again. We got to care about our future generations. Something needs to be done. I say, see what we're talking about, have the discussion, kick it around. I'm all for it. Something's got to be done in one way or another. I hope you're all getting something out of this. Please comment. I really want your ideas. But please like and share this. We've got to get this discussion going. We've got to talk about it. We're going to be talking about this some more, but I want your ideas too. I mean, we've got nothing. Right now, the page is blank. What do we do? How do we solve this? I like the idea of establishing criteria. What should be on that list? How do we determine what is a failed city or a failed state that needs to be taken over? We got to start somewhere. We got to take it in baby steps. Washington, D.C. is the perfect candidate. They're a damn failure, and they have been for a long time. I'm all ears. Let's talk about it. We got to get this right, my friends. We got future generations counting on us, and so far, boomers have let them down. We got to get this right. Maybe God will continue to bless this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.